Okay, we are live now. Over to you, Vanshika.
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay. Hello, everyone. I, Vanshita Goenka, the moderator of this session, welcome you all. First of all, I'd like to welcome the panel of speakers. We welcome you, ma'am. And next, I would like to welcome our audience. Thank you for joining in, guys. So, as we all know, that the current scenario has not only altered the professional scenario, but also the way how we connect. So, keeping in mind the same, we have with us our next panel of speakers for our virtual We Talk series. We have with us Miss Reena Rai, Miss Shravya Mandati,
Hi.
and Miss Jay Bharti. You are welcomed, ma'am. So, ma'am,
Thank you so much.
Women Innovator has always believed in welcoming different opinions and ideas from backgrounds. So let me take this opportunity to quickly introduce you all. So I'd like to start with Miss Reena Rai. Miss Reena Rai is the founder and chairperson of Miss Trans Queen India that works for empowerment and inclusion of LGBTQ+. It is a way to let trans queens embark on a journey filled with pride and dignity. Being a passionate woman and working relentlessly for the initiative, she has conquered many difficulties with strength and has worked continuously for the initiative without any major support. We welcome you, ma'am. Really honored to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for calling me.
Pleasure, ma'am. Pleasure. Next on, I'd like to introduce Ms. Shravya Mandadi. She is the founder of We and She Foundation, working for the women with dysfunctional marriages. Being the passionate woman working for issues of women and addressing them, she aims to make them financially independent. She has worked relentlessly for the initiative, and she makes sure that she takes up prominent issues according to the need of the society. You're welcome, ma'am. We are really happy that you joined in.
Thank you for having me on board.
Next on, I'd like to introduce Miss Jay Bharti, ma'am. She is the founder of MOWO Social Initiatives Foundation. Motorcycling has been her lifelong passion that continues to fuel her. She, being a globetrotter and having the love for exploring the world, she is now on a mission to drive a social transformation for making women self-reliant. Being with her love for two-wheelers and her inclination for the society, she has triggered in her a thought of making women empowered using mobility as a tool. We welcome you, ma'am. Really honored that you are present here. You can unmute your mic, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're audible.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise, ma'am. So we are really excited to have you all on board and listen to you. And as it is always known that it is nearly impossible to read a person's mind, but when it comes to finding out about what goes in the social activist mind, it is quite instructive. So let's start with our session right away.
Sure.
So we'd like to begin the session by knowing your journey as a social activist, your journey started. So I'd like to ask Jay Bharti ma'am, like when did you discover that motorcycling is your passion? And when did you discover that, you have an inclination to work for the society using your passion? You can unmute, ma'am. Actually, you aren't audible right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, mine is a kind of a little, unique journey. Right from my childhood, I used to love riding right from bicycles. Then I graduated to a moped, then to a scooter, then to a motorcycle. So two wheels have always been a part of my life from quite a young age. And getting to college riding for fun, all those things happen. But over the past decade, I've been riding motorcycle, and I've gone across 7 countries on my motorcycle, covering more than 1 lakh kilometers. So, we used to get a lot of calls that, we are very inspired by you and we also want to ride motorcycles. So I've been getting so many calls. Then one fine day, we also did a pilot where we taught women how to ride. So we used to do that only on Saturdays until I went on a journey to Mekong region. And one day we were traveling and we were crossing the Myanmar-Thailand border. And then just as we entered Thailand, I saw a woman in her late 40s working as a bike taxi rider. She was, parking her bike there, and they were just sitting and waiting for their customers, or maybe, taking a break. But that was a very empowering moment for me personally, because when you see women being in all roles, you suddenly feel that that place is very safe for you. So I thought, back in India, we need to bring the same sphere of having, women in all possible sectors. And especially now when logistics is really growing very fast, there is a huge rise for employment and mobility, and it is represented by women less than even 1%. So I started Movo Social Initiatives, where we want to move women and have more women in mobility sectors. It can be a women tour guide, women taxi rider, women delivery partner. The list just goes on. So we want to use mobility as a tool, and this is my new journey now.
Vanchita, your mic is mute.
So that's a really interesting one, Jai Bharti ma'am. So I'd now like to ask Miss Reena ma'am that how her early days were like how did she start her journey, and when did she come across, when did you come across that you want to work for a greater cause, like you want to work for trans women?
मेरी बात ली जाए तो मुझे लगता है कि मैंने अपनी जिंदगी 38 इयर्स ऐसे ही बर्बाद कर दिए, और जब मैं 38 इयर्स की हुई तो शायद मुझे रियलाइज हुआ कि मुझे कुछ करना चाहिए. एंड मुझे अभी भी ऐसा ही लगता है कि गॉड हैज चूजन मी फॉर दिस वर्क, क्योंकि इससे पहले जब मैंने स्टार्ट किया मुझे LGBTQA क्या होता है ये भी नहीं पता था. And for 38 years I have only seen them as someone who used to come to our house जब हमारे कोई बच्चा होता है या घर लेते हैं, and they come and they give you blessings, and or either you have seen them on the red light begging. So मैंने भी कभी इस बारे में नहीं सोचा था, but in 2016 मेरी लाइफ में कुछ ऐसा हुआ कि भगवान ने शायद मुझे मेरा गोल दिखाया, and he has told me why he has sent me here. So I lost my best friend in 2016, and that was very something very heartbreaking, और मैं पूरी तरीके से टूट चुकी थी उस वक्त. तो कहते हैं भगवान जब आपसे कुछ लेता है तो आप जब आपका हाथ खाली करता है तो कुछ और रखने के लिए वो आपका हाथ खाली करता है. 2 महीने पहले ही उसकी डेथ से पहले आई मेट दिस गर्ल कॉल्ड विपी, जिसे मैं पिछले 8 साल से जानती थी, और बट आई सॉ हिम एज अ बॉय ऑल द टाइम, एंड बीच में हम लोगों का जो टच था वो लॉस हो गया. और देन अगेन इन 2016 ओनली इन फेब्रुअरी मेरी जो बेस्ट फ्रेंड की डेथ से सिर्फ 1.5 महीना पहले आई मेट हर अगेन, एंड she was not Vipin that time. She has turned into a Vippy, and she was so happy to see me. She was like, I was searching for you. मैं आपको ढूंढ रही थी. So I was kind like, ऐसा क्यों, मुझे क्यों ढूंढ रही थी, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं लगता. I just go there in the parlor as a कस्टमर ओनली. तो मुझे कभी ऐसा रियलाइज नहीं हुआ कि मैंने उसको कुछ स्पेशल फील कराया हो, या फिर I just go and she was my favorite person कि मैं उसी से काम करवाऊंगी. But then she told me, I laughed and I said, I have nothing, I have never treated you differently. Why you were searching for me? She said, exactly. Only you never treated me differently. Everyone who comes across in my life has treated me differently. They have looked at me like if I am something like a laughing stock or something. बट जब मैं आपसे मिली तो कभी भी आपने मुझे फील ही नहीं होने दिया कि मैं बॉय हूँ या फिर मैं कुछ अलग हूँ. सो क्या होता है, हम सब लोगों को पता होता है जब हम सामने वाले से बात करते हैं कि वो क्या चाहता है हमसे, लेकिन ये हमारी चॉइस है. या तो हम उसको ऐसे ट्रीट करें जैसा हम चाहते हैं या फिर वैसे ट्रीट करें जैसा वो चाहते हैं हमें. तो मैं जब उससे 8 साल पहले मिली थी, मैंने उसको वैसा ही ट्रीट किया जैसे वो चाहती थी. And then when she met me this time again, she said, I want to be friends with you. I want to come to your house. So I said, it's okay. You take my number and you can always come to my house. I gave her my number. But still, ऐसा कुछ मेरे को नहीं पता था कि भगवान ने ये डेस्टाइन कर रखा है मुझे उससे मिलाना. और मेरी उससे उस दौरान 1-2 बार बात हुई. बट इन अप्रैल 2016 आई लॉस्ट माय बेस्ट फ्रेंड. और इतनी मतलब ऐसी परिस्थिति थी कि मुझे लगता है फ्रेंड्स आर योर लाइफ एंड व्हेन यू लूज देम यू लूज योर लाइफ. और दैट टाइम Vipi came into my life and she started calling me. She knew I was in depression and she started coming over to my place. और हम लोग मिलने लगे, बात करने लगे, हम बाहर जाने लगे एक साथ. और जब मेरी बेस्ट फ्रेंड की डेथ हुई तो मैं एक बात बहुत जो बोलते हैं एक हार्ड रियलिटी जो है उसने मुझे हिट किया कि इट कुड बी यू नेक्स्ट. शायद कल सुबह आप उठो भी नहीं. तो मेरी मम्मी हमेशा ये बोलती थी कि गॉड हैज सेंड यू फॉर अ रीजन. एंड एंड दैट टाइम आई स्टार्टेड आस्किंग God, why have sent you? Why you have sent me here? What is my reason being here? Every day I used to wake up and I used to cry. I used to miss my friend. I used to cry and ask God कि what is my reason? I don't want to die. I want to leave my mark here. मुझे किस काम के लिए भेजा है? और जब मैं विप्पी से मिली और मैं विप्पी के साथ बाहर घूमना चालू हुई, तब मुझे रियलाइज हुआ कि एक ट्रांस वुमन के लिए कितना डिफिकल्ट है बाहर निकलना. या फिर उस इंसान के लिए जिसकी वो फैमिली है, अगर वो उसके साथ बाहर निकलती है तो उसे किस किस किन किन बातों से, किन मजाक से गुजरना पड़ता है. इसलिए उनकी फैमिली उन्हें प्रेशराइज करती है टू बी सो कॉल्ड नॉर्मल. जो और लोगों के बात होती है उन्हें लगता है कि ये एबनॉर्मल है. I started going outside with her and people started looking me at like if I am a sex worker या फिर विपी सेक्स वर्कर है. और शायद जो रिक्शे वाले होते हैं और ये सब जो होते हैं जिनकी किसी की हिम्मत नहीं होती किसी को भी कुछ बोलने की, वो उन्हें कुछ भी बोल सकते हैं, वो उन्हें कभी भी हिट कर सकते हैं. और उनके साथ जो चल रहा है उन्हें लगता है कि they all are available for sex. And that time I started picking up fights with everyone कि क्या देख रहा है, किस गंदी नजर से लोग जिस तरीके से देखते हैं. मतलब आपको एक शब्द भी नहीं बोलेंगे ना तो आपकी उनकी नजरों में आपके लिए गाली दिख जाएगी. And then I started fighting and there was one day when she came to my house and she said कि I want to commit suicide. I said, are you mad? So she said no, and then she started crying and she said मेरे माँ बाप मुझे नहीं समझ रहे, मेरे को नहीं खुद समझ में आ रहा क्योंकि मैं इस बॉडी में खुश नहीं हूँ. मुझे कोई क्यों नहीं समझता कि मैं जो मेरी सोल है वो एक लड़की है, मुझे लड़की की तरह रहना है. And that was the time, I think that was the turning point in my life when I told myself कि I think I've got my reason. And I started asking myself, the question turned into what is my reason to what I can do for them. And from there I started going to the events which is organized स्पेशली फॉर LGBTQ, जहाँ पे अगर आप जाएंगे तो आपको कभी भी हेटेरोसेक्सुअल लोग मिलेंगे नहीं क्योंकि उन्हें डर लगता है उनके साथ खड़े होने में, उनके इवेंट्स में जाने में. क्योंकि उन्हें ऐसा लगता है कि हम जाएंगे तो हमारे बारे में भी लोग ऐसा सोचेंगे, जो एक्चुअली हुआ मेरे साथ. पीपल स्टार्ट आस्किंग मी, आर यू लेस्बियन, आर यू ट्रांस वुमेन, यू नो. पीपल इवन जो जिस कम्युनिटी के लिए मैं काम करने जा रही थी वो मुझसे पूछती थी, आर यू फ्रॉम द कम्युनिटी? So, I always used to tell them I am not from the community, but community is from me. A mother like me gives birth to those people. These LGBT community born out of woman, वो कोई ऊपर से नहीं गिरते हैं, उन्हें भी हम जैसी माँ और बाप पैदा करते हैं. So that was actually the time when I started thinking I want to do something to get them a respect. From there, actually, I started my journey.
Oh, that was a very wholesome journey, ma'am. I must, believe you experienced so much. But it's good to know. It's good to know that you eventually found out your reason. So that's
Yes.
very good to know. So I'd like to ask now Shravya ma'am, like she has pursued her graduation in technology in CS engineering. So ma'am, when did you discover that you would like to embark on a completely new journey? And do you think your degree in technology has helped you while working for the society? Ma'am, you can unmute. Yeah, you are audible now.
Yeah, thank you, Anshika, for the question. And a very big hello to my superwoman panelists, Reena Raiji and Bharti ji also. See, I hail from the family of freedom fighters. So, right from my childhood, I've been nurtured in a certain way that, you should contribute something for your country. You could just be the best version of a citizen or whatever, in whichever capacity. So as soon as I've done with my engineering, I try to prepare for the UPSC exam. So when I was actually trying to give an attempt for my UPSC exam, I couldn't crack it. So the third time when I was trying to gather some material from different places of the country or whatever, a couple of students from the institute committed suicide. So that was more like a wake up call for me. So I was just thinking, is life all about the IIMs, IITs, medical or IAS, whatever, if you're really determined to do something for your country, I think with lot of dedication and determination, you can just do it. It's not always about that power and money. So that is when I started associating myself with different organizations. I met experts from different fields for more than a decade after I got enough experience. That is when I actually decided I need to start something on my own. And to be honest, computer science engineering has definitely helped me because I believe there is an organic relationship. Because engineering is all about technical solutions and social work is all about social solutions. So in that way, today the technology has got a lot of impact on the present world, be it family-owned business or be it that you want to provide some digital protection for homeless shelters or you want to streamline your volunteer base. I think in that way, definitely my engineering degree has helped me to reach out to more number of people to do more awareness campaigns also.
Oh wow, that's really motivating, ma'am. So, like you have led the steps of a social organization at such a young age. So, what issues were there that concerned you, and how do you plan to make a difference?
Yeah, they're like not just one or two issues, Vanshika. There've been like, so many issues, because I feel that, we are living in a country where even a woman gets molested or something, woman is blamed for everything, be it a broken marriage or whatever it is. So there are many incidents which actually motivated me to start an organization on my own. Because, at some point I realized I have always been this kind of person who wanted to fill in the gap because I was my class leader or being the head girl. Maybe I have acquired those traits to solve the problem then and there. After my research, I realized that there is no specific organization which actually predominantly works for women with a dysfunctional marriage. Because, in a country where a woman is ill treated when even after being a rape survivor or whatever, what about these women who walked out of their marriage? And there could be n number of reasons. There could be infidelity, there could be impotency, or whatever. There could be some abuse. So that is when I decided that I have to start something on my own so that, I could provide a decent platform for these women where they can just come, sit down and talk to people, because most of these women have suicidal tendency. Because compared to men, we are very, very emotional. And, when marriage is broken, actually it has a very adverse effect on women health, which leads to anxiety, anger, depression, or something like that. So this was the main reason for me to start an organization. That is how VNC has happened. And through VNC, what we do is like we initially try to identify the women with a dysfunctional marriage, and later I try to counsel them. And after that, I give them a scope where they decide to get trained in which kind of skill set they want to. And once they are trained, I even make sure to rehabilitate them with some decent employment opportunities, because I don't shy away from saying that I am a firm believer in financial independence of a woman, because especially a woman who is separated from her husband, and just in case if she has got children also, to fund her child's education or even to buy a toy, she can't go to someone else and like, plead them, like, give me some money or else help me in some or the other way. Because of what happens, especially in countries like India, since we have a very conservative system, parents, most of them, they feel a girl child, as a burden. So keeping all these things in mind, I just decided if I can make them financially independent, I think yeah, they can achieve whatever they want to going ahead.
Yeah, that's rightly put, man. That's very true, and I really feel that the issues are there, and I hope that your organization achieves whatever you wish to. So
Thank you.
I would like to turn to Jay Bharti ma'am. Like ma'am, it's very unconventional in a society like ours to like bring about awareness through mobility. So what things drove you into this, and how do you plan this idea and execute it? You can unmute, ma'am. Uh, yeah, ma'am, you can unmute your mic. You have muted your mic.
I think Vanshita, the host has to do it. Yeah, because it's not allowing us to unmute ourselves.
Oh, all right. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
now it's,
okay.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it says the host has to unmute, there's some
Okay,
catch,
okay.
I
All
think.
right,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
all right.
So, like I said, right from my childhood, I completely agree with what Shravya has mentioned. The freedom is something which, or courage per se, has to, come deep within. I mean, I personally experienced it. I didn't have to learn courage from someone. It was imbibed into me through my childhood in whatever I did. So, two wheels, whenever I ride, basic two-wheeler or a motorcycle, or just the fact that coming from a small city in India, and being able to go to any country and drive a two-wheeler there is like a dream for anyone. But if I'm able to do that, that's because of the freedom or the courage I have in my own mind. So whenever I go back and see, balancing the bike gave me that power. So that's the reason I wanted to teach the same thing for rest of the women as well. And like you mentioned, again, I'll go back to Shravya also, that in a societal conditions, like especially in a country like India, we are very most of the places, people, except for some cities, there is a lot of taboo. Even for a girl to normally ride a two-wheeler itself, you will see that only in the cities. Even when you go into the rural places, they're always dependent on someone else to take them out. At least in cities, you have public transport, but when you go to other tier 2 and tier 3 places, the girls only have to walk either they go in a bus from one district to another district, or they have to walk for 2 or 3 kilometers either to go to a college, or even if they get placed in some kind of a job, commute becomes a major problem. 50% of the women in India give up on work life, mostly after marriage, sometimes in some situations, or the reason because they're married, they have kids, they have so many responsibilities, and they do not have enough what to say reason to travel 10-15 kilometers and go and work in a place they might be paid better enough. So and if in their neighborhood, if they get a job, if it is paying very less, then they might think, for this much I can just stay at home. It just kills their aspirations. So teaching how to drive, one is for their own personal commute, they can just get up and do whatever they like. In our teachings, we teach for a lot of self-help group women. These women are already doing something on their own. Somebody runs a fish market, somebody runs a small kirana store, somebody has their own tailoring unit. But the ability to ride a two-wheeler, go to the market and purchase the raw material by herself also gives her a lot of courage and confidence in whatever she's doing. So it is definitely a taboo. Most of our time just goes into convincing women that it is okay for you to do these kind of jobs. I mean, it's not that no girls cannot ride two-wheeler. It's not that they're not interested, but it's just a taboo. They think that, it's just like, can you ever imagine a post women? We have always, lifelong, we have only seen postmen coming and giving a letter from, so many years to even now. So like that, they think that delivery is something, either the milkman, newsboy, newspaper boy, everybody is, like, we have nothing against men, but, somehow these jobs have been just taken away by them. And there is so much for women to do in this field. And we started the journey now. So it will definitely take time, but I'm sure one day we will have enough number of women in mobility as well.
Yeah, ma'am. I also hope the same. Like, the issues that you mentioned are really, like, I also feel that this is the issue. Like, so I really hope that it gets solved soon, and we are empowered enough so that we do not give up on reasons like these. So yeah. So, Reena ma'am, you have recently launched a project, We Are Your Strength. So, what are the reasons that you felt the need to launch a project, and how do you plan to work for it?
Vanshika, I started Miss Trans Queen India, और जब मैंने मिस ट्रांस क्वीन इंडिया स्टार्ट किया था तो मेरा एम था इंक्लूजन और एम्पावरमेंट, और क्राउन डेफिनेटली एक ग्लोरीफाई और एक ग्लैमरस लुक दे देता है हमारी गर्ल्स को, लेकिन अगर आप सोचें तो जब तक हम रूट कॉज को खत्म नहीं करेंगे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन के, तब तक एक्चुअली चीजें चेंज नहीं होंगी. So I have formed my own NGO called Deepa Ardhanarishwar Empowerment Foundation, and through that I have started my project called We Are Your Strength. So जब मैंने ट्रांस क्वीन इंडिया स्टार्ट किया था तो मैंने एक चेंज अपनी लाइफ में किया था, जिसके लिए मुझे बहुत बोला गया था कि ठीक है तुम कर रही हो तो करो, लेकिन अपने बच्चे को दूर रखो, अपनी बेटी को इस सब चीजों में नहीं लेकर आओ. She was 10 years old that time. So I said no. मेरा फर्स्ट स्टेप जो था वो ये था कि मैंने उसको सेंसिटाइज किया, क्योंकि जब मेरा एक गे फ्रेंड मेरे घर आया तो उसने बोला कि टेल हर टू कॉल मी मासी. So my daughter said कि no, I will not call him Masi, he's a boy. So I told her, baby, sometimes it happens God sends a woman's soul trapped in a man's body, or a man's soul trapped in a woman's body. It makes them special. She was still clueless. So I asked her, which color you like? She said pink. So I said, if I'll put you in the boy body, you will start liking blue. She said, nothing to do with the body, but it's about choice. It's about what you like. And the moment she said herself, she understood what I wanted to say. And मुझे लगता है कि जब मैं उस इवेंट में भी गई थी तो मैंने देखा कि कम्युनिटी एक दूसरे के लिए बहुत कुछ कर रही है, और वो इसलिए कर रही है क्योंकि वो एक दूसरे का पेन समझते हैं. वो कहीं ना कहीं किसी को घर से बाहर निकाला हुआ होता है, किसी कोई अपने आप घर से बाहर आ जाता है, किसी ने पढ़ाई छोड़ दी होती है बीच में, एंड एज माय अदर टू स्पीकर टोल्ड दैट कि सुसाइडल टेंडेंसी जो होती है वो अगर आप देखेंगे तो LGBTQ में मच हायर देन एनीबडी एल्स, बिकॉज उनको ना तो पढ़ने दिया जाता है, उन्हें बुली किया जाता है और मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम दे ड्रॉप आउट देयर स्टडीज और दे कमिट सुसाइड। तो ये सब चीजें होती हैं। सो यू नो दैट वाज अ टाइम व्हेन आई टोल्ड माई सेल्फ कि things will only change when we will change our mindset. We who called ourselves as a heterosexual or cisgender people, जब तक हम लोग अपना mindset change नहीं करेंगे तब तक actually change नहीं आएगा। So with that thought, I started my project called We Are Your Strength, जहाँ we started going to the schools, colleges, universities, even to the residencies, and to any event I've been asked to come. So I go with my rainbow family along with me and share their stories with the kids, with the youth, what they went through in their life when they were young, when they were in their age. उन्हें कैसा लगता था जब उनके खुद के दोस्त उन्हें नहीं समझते थे। मुझे लगता है कि एक टाइम हम सबकी लाइफ में ऐसा आता है जहाँ पे हम मम्मी पापा की भी नहीं सुनते, हम सिर्फ अपने दोस्तों में रहते हैं। हमें लगता है कि हमारे मम्मी पापा नहीं समझते हैं, लेकिन हमारे दोस्त हमें समझते हैं। जस्ट इमेजिन, उनके साथ ऐसा भी नहीं है, उनके दोस्त भी उन्हें नहीं समझते, उनके मम्मी पापा भी उन्हें नहीं समझते। तो मुझे लगा कि हमें सही वक्त पे सही चीज समझानी चाहिए बच्चों को, ताकि जो हमारे और जो फ्रेंड्स हैं जो अब बड़े हो चुके हैं, जिन्होंने बहुत कुछ सहा है अपनी लाइफ में, वो अब जो आने वाली जनरेशन है उसे ना सहना पड़े। सो वी गो टू स्कूल्स, कॉलेज एंड यूनिवर्सिटी एंड वी इंस्पायर पीपल टू बी ईच अदर्स स्ट्रेंथ। Like I and Vippy, when we got together, we become each other's strength. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ मैंने विप्पी के लिए किया। अगर विप्पी मेरी लाइफ में नहीं आती और वो मुझे उस डिप्रेशन से बाहर नहीं निकालती, तो शायद मैं भी ये कुछ नहीं कर पाती। आज जब भी लोग सोचते हैं तो वो ये बोलते हैं कि रीना राय ने ट्रांस वुमेन्स के लिए इतना किया, बट मेरी लाइफ में जो पहली ट्रांस वुमेन आई उसने मुझे उससे बाहर निकाला। और आज मेरे को अगर लोग जानते हैं तो इसलिए जानते हैं बिकॉज वी बिकम ईच अदर स्ट्रेंथ। सो वी इंस्पायर आवर यूथ टू बिकम ईच अदर स्ट्रेंथ इन स्पाइट ऑफ आपके साथ जो भी बैठा है, चाहे वो किसी भी जेंडर से है, किसी भी कास्ट से है, कैसा भी दिखता है, वो सबसे पहले ह्यूमन बीइंग है पहले, और आपका दोस्त है। तो आपको सबसे पहले वो जो एक दोस्ती वाला एसेंस है, जो फ्रेंडशिप वाला एसेंस है, उसको एम्ब्रेस करना है, उसको समझना है। आपको इसके अंदर जाने की जरूरत नहीं है कि सेक्सुअली व्हाट दे डू विद ईच अदर एंड व्हाट इज द सेक्सुअल ओरिएंटेशन। हमें इतना कुछ भी बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, हमें सिर्फ इतना समझाने की जरूरत है, जो आपके साथ बैठा है वो आपका दोस्त है। तो इस थॉट से मैंने ये जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो स्टार्ट किया, एंड आई मस्ट tell you that I have already covered around 30 colleges and few schools, including my own school. And आप बिलीव नहीं करेंगे, जो शायद जो 60 साल के लोग नहीं समझ पाते, वो आज हमारे 16 साल के बच्चे समझ रहे हैं। एंड आई शुड अप्रिशिएट schools like Tagore International, जहाँ पे 2013 से ये प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, जहाँ पे बच्चे और स्कूल्स में जाके LGBT कम्युनिटी के बारे में अवेयर कराते हैं। सो वी नीड मोर एंड मोर स्कूल्स, एंड आई हैव आल्सो रिक्वेस्टेड दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट टू स्टार्ट दिस, to make it this compulsory कि जेंडर स्टडी होनी चाहिए हर स्कूल में, उस एज में जहाँ पे लोगों को समझ में नहीं आता, और वो बहुत दिनों से जो चीज देख रहे होते हैं उसी को ही मतलब आगे बढ़ाते हैं। उनको समझाना है कि ये गलत है, एंड वी शुड ऑलवेज tell them the positive side of a society. So that's how I started my project, and I'm very happy and proud that things are really changing. And मुझे शायद कोई 60 साल के बच्चे के लोग जो है वो मुझे सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, and I think I have around 300 kids of schools and colleges who are supporting me in this project.
Wow, that's a really powerful message, ma'am. I also believe the same. Like the awareness should be there from the very basic level, because it is
Yes,
only when that we became each other's strength, then we can bring about a real change. So yeah,
true, true.
that was very true, yeah, ma'am. So we have with us the women that are also undertaking big projects. So like Shravya ma'am is the only person to tour 31 districts in 31 days in Telangana, covering approximately 4100 kilometers. So ma'am, I would like to ask, like, what were the issues that you noticed in context to women during this campaign?
Yeah, during my journey of 31 districts in 31 days, that was just a random thought which I really wanted to do because this was a state which we actually fought for. So I just wanted to know how safe are women in Telangana. So that's the reason I have gone on this journey. And the very first thing which I noticed is like, the girl child discrimination. Even today also, and the discrimination begins from birth itself. Today also, boys are preferred over girls. So definitely female infanticide is a very, very big concern. And the next thing is, the child marriages. What happens is like, especially in the rural areas, they feel that girl child as a burden. So once they hit their puberty, they try to get them married. Of course, there is a slight decline in child marriages when you compare to the previous decade, but even still around 26% it still exists. So I believe that it's high time we actually need to put a lockdown on child marriages also. And the other thing is that alcoholism is again a very big concern. What happens is like most of the men are, they have been alcoholics, and as soon as they come home, they try to abuse the women as well as the children also. And this will definitely lead, to family problems, be it a broken marriage or a woman is abused in a manner which is not, you can't just appreciate it. And the other thing is like what I noticed, especially Telangana rural women are not inclined to report violence because the culture of reporting violence is still very low in the districts of Telangana when you just compare it with the urban pockets. So these are few issues which I've personally noticed, and even access to good food, and most of the kids or like women are malnourished. There are many problems because during my campaign I have interacted with more than 1 lakh women covering about 100 villages also. So definitely these are a few problems which I have noticed, and I think government need to set up few policies. Of course, all the schemes are very fancy and good, but when it comes to implementation, nothing great is actually happening.
Yeah, very, that was a very amazing way to explain, ma'am. Indeed, we hope that the change comes real soon, and this is only when people join hands. So yeah, that is a really amazing answer. So now, like we all know that being a social activist, you have to manage adverse situations. So Jay Bharti ma'am, how do you mentally prepare to be in ground at such times? Like, how do you manage the crowd and ensure equal distribution?
Yeah, thanks. This is a good question because mostly what happens is we all know that during any national emergencies, a lot of NGOs are out there doing whatever they want to, how much ever they want to, leaving behind their own families and getting head out and being able to do so much. But usually, what happens is there is a lot which goes into carrying the operations on the ground. It's really very nice to hear that even in the recent COVID time that there were so many NGOs across the country trying to help each and every person. There was so much which was done, but I really salute everybody who really did the job on the ground, and especially in conditions like COVID where you don't even want to step out of the house. It becomes really dangerous. So first and foremost, mentally it's a great battle within ourselves. Like I've gone to Kashmir when the floods came in. I've been in Vizag and Chennai whenever the floods happened. We were volunteering and we were doing a lot of relief activities. Those times, I was like, okay, fine, I can somehow figure out, travel, be there and do something. I really didn't have to think much. But especially during COVID time, our parents are at home. They are prone to risk. I don't want to step out and carry something and, I can't put them at risk. So it was a 4-day battle in my mind. But the volunteerism in us will not stop. So I was continuously fighting with myself as to what can I do to, help people in this kind of a time. So I can't do anything from my NGO at that point because we can't run operations at that time. But I was still on, looking out for people who might say that they need help. So a lot of the queries were for who can go and distribute on the ground. So I realized two of my friends were there. They run an NGO in the neighborhood where I live, because going to another place was also very difficult. So within the 3 kilometers, I had two friends who were running their NGOs, and their regular donors have given them enough support. They got in the material, and we reached out to about we distributed about, I think, close to 10,000 kids to people in those 2 months. And I think in the whole of 2020, I have met so many people only in those 2 months. Of course, but first 4 days was really very difficult. Should we go? Should we not go? Finally, we get up and go. Of course, we take care of all the precautions. And because it was just recent, I will talk more examples on COVID. So we go out there finally, call a truck guy, bring in the stuff. We go there, we want to give them. But the people on the receiving end are, there is nothing to blame them. But, everybody is waiting, that because they're not sure what would happen. At least we are reading, we know what might happen. We at least know if something happens in adverse situation, how do we take care of ourselves? But for them, they have no clue. They have no clue as to what's happening. They just don't know where to go, what to do. So, when we go, the minute we go, they try to, come in crowds. And a situation like COVID, you are all talking about physical distancing, and you just can't handle those crowds. So initially, amongst the 3 or 4 of us who were on the ground, one of us has to be the bad person. So I used to stand up and shout and tell them that unless you make a line, we are not going to give. And I literally tell the truck guy to just open the gate and go away. We can't give here. So then at least the next day when we go, they form a line, and I try to pick up some people there and tell that it is your responsibility. You make sure that the line is correct, and then we give, because I want to come back and give more stuff to you tomorrow. But today, if you behave like this, and if something happens between all of us and the virus spreads, nobody can come back to you and help. So, you really need to understand that part. So like that, on ground, there will be, a lot of difficulties. We once went to one small remote village near Vizag. Actually, that village, when we looked on, we couldn't even find it on Google Map. It was just close to the sea, and a fisherman community would live there. Now we went all the way from Hyderabad, in our own vehicles loaded with lot of stuff to support the villages, because mostly during the government, the government will give whatever they can, but it doesn't reach to the remote places very easily. So when we went there, until that time, they didn't get any help. It was 15 days and nobody could reach to that village. Finally, we went there, and local, some kind of a leader, he doesn't have any entity, but he just feels that he has control over that village. He would come and stop us that, you cannot give without my notice. You have to give it through me. So, we take it. We don't mind. You can take the name, absolutely. But you are not been taking care of them all these days. Just today, because we are coming, you want to have that. So we literally, but we still went, we told that day that, no, we'll come back. We'll think and come back. So we just made him believe that we are going to come back. But what we did was, next day, early morning, 5 o'clock, we went to the village, gave whatever we wanted. And only when we were returning back, he spotted us. So we had to, run away from that place as if in a movie. It's like a chasing situation that just save your lives. So, it is really very difficult. And one more thing what we do is, through one of our NGOs, we distribute solar lamps in remote villages, especially in the forest areas. So in 2010 or 8, some of my friends have already given in one village. And then we got a call that, it's been 5-6 years, and now we have some issues. Can somebody come back and give? So we had absolutely no contact with the person who earlier took from us. And then all we know is there is one guy in a hotel closest to that village, and he can show us the address. We took the lights, we went there, and we had to literally find out. So apparently that person died, but his brother's son is still working at the hotel, so he could take us. So we trekked into the forest, and then we gave the lights. And when we were walking in the village, because we don't know, some stranger is telling that, yes, this is a village, I can take you. And we are walking in the forest, it's becoming dark, and you can literally not see anything. But he's saying the village is just there, little more, we'll go 3-4 kilometers. And finally, we saw one small village just with 11 homes. After we gave the solar lamps, we put it on the hut. I told them, every day you please put it outside, even when you're sleeping, put it outside, so that at least people will know that you exist here. Otherwise, you have no trace of, so on ground, it is really very challenging.
Yeah, really, ma'am. Like, that's a very challenging situation. Like, you have to, and you have to got to face it. So it's really difficult to be in ground at such times. So also, ma'am, like having taken several challenging expeditions and working in several NGOs, how did you ensure that help is reached out to the most needy? And what are the expectations and mission you have for the future?
Yeah, so truly, like I said, while there are a lot of organizations working, usually what happens is whenever, be it during any emergency or in a normal day when somebody wants to support, most of the help, when we talk about CSR or something, goes to the visible areas within the city or a little outside of the city. Not many people would go into the remote places. Not that they don't want to do, but maybe they don't have resources to get to the remote places and do so. We always ensure that we do not give help to the people who are already receiving. So if there are some circles, we try to cross 3 circles and then go beyond and approach people who do not get any other service otherwise. Like I mentioned, that small little village fisherman community, we had to literally fight with everybody else to reach there and give. And during COVID also, our major focus was on migrant workers, because rest all are within the city. They are on some kind of a list. So either the government will give them some food or some money. Somewhere they know they will be taken care of. At least they don't have to pay their own house rents. But these migrant people, some people definitely, where they are working in a organized sector, like in a construction company or something, somewhere they might still get some help. But there are a lot of people who come off from the villages, and these are typically daily wage laborers or small time contractors. They are not listed on any list, but they are trying to do their best. But during this time, they absolutely have no help. So our trial was to give it to only them. So we made a list, we found out those people, and we were going to into those colonies to give the stuff only to them. Then the locals would come back and say, how can you come to our area and not give it to us, and you're giving it to them? And some people were like, ma'am, we totally understand, we have our own home and we'll somehow be taking care of ourselves. Our tenants are migrant workers, they cannot, so we will help you, we will make the list, you please give it to them. But the rest of the people might not be the same. Even though they have everything, suddenly people become very greedy. That's it's really one pathetic situation where people turn over greedy during these kind of terms also. And they want to have whatever they get. Even if they have it once, they want to send a small little girl from the family. So most of the times, if we want to do genuine help also, we can only end up doing 65 to 70% of genuine help. Other 30% will go for, I won't say waste, but it will go for people who might not, I won't say deserve also. They just turn out greedy, and you really can't help. So that problem is definitely there.
Yeah, ma'am. You like the social work. In the social work, you really need to ensure that help is reached out to the needy and to the targeted ones. So yeah, also like I know that Reena ma'am is also working for such a unique cause, and the issue is so deep rooted in our society that you may have come across many difficulties. Like you must have so much struggles to overcome. So ma'am, how do you manage to overcome those, and what according to you lies in the future ahead? uh
Yeah.
yeah
So, like Jay Bharti has told that in the time of COVID, there was a situation when we have to, we have to think if we'll go out, we might get infected to others, our, family also. And mine was a different case because our winner went to competition to Miss International Queens in Thailand, and I was accompanying her at that time. And we just came back on 9th March when everything was like everywhere, people were talking it's going to shut down and everything. And I have to be in, quarantine myself because I've been to Thailand, and for 15 days, at least for 15 days, I cannot go out from my house. And the other problem was that since I have, made one NGO called Deepa Ardhanareshwar, and it's been 2 years now, and you will not believe, but I have not received even a single penny fund from anywhere, you know. So how I am doing is like even Miss Trans Queen India was self-funded by myself, because when I was doing the Miss Trans Queen India, people were not ready to involve in a event where trans women are associated, because they thought that their product will get a negative image, because one of the designer even said ki if they will wear my clothes, then a normal woman cannot wear that clothes. So I really struggled for the first year when I was doing it. And that time also, nobody was there to help me. Or when I go to sponsors, they also say okay, we can't do it. If you have an NGO, then we can help you through CSR fund, or or else we cannot associate directly, because that will give negative image. So that the whole event was self sponsored by my husband. My husband, he was the only person who's earning member, because I also have left my all business just to work for this community. So there was only one person who was earning, and he used to get the salary, and I used to spend the half of the salary on this. And then, so now he is in Dubai. He's still doing the same thing, and I'm sitting here. I'm doing the all the work for the girls. So I just wanted to tell you there was no funds, and I really wanted to help. And basically the help was going to all those people who are in the cities, and who are who have their ID cards as a trans woman. But even the government was helping these transgenders, but nobody knows about those people who are living in the remote area. Like Jaya ji has also said that maybe they want to help, but they are not reaching there, you know. And literally for many days I was like helpless, because I cannot go out by myself also. And I didn't had money, but I wanted to help. I really wanted to help. So one day my husband called, and he called me in the morning and told me that I'm sending you my half salary, and I think you should help these girls, because these all girls call me mother. So I've been a mother figure to everyone. So it's my time to fulfill my duty. So now I got the fund, but how should I distribute that fund? How should I go out and give it to them? So I found a way, because my trans women who participated in trans queens, all my queens are from the different states. So what I did, I called my queens, and I told them I'm transferring the money in your account, and you need to go out and get the rationing kit for everyone and distribute it. So then that's how I try to reach them. And when I put the videos of this, so many people connected to me and told me, like in Amroha, it's a very small village and nobody even care about LGBT community over there. They don't even know what is LGBT community. So one of the trans women called me and she told me that we don't even have anything to eat. We are dying. So so I transferred the fund, and then she get the rationing kits, and then she distributed to everyone. And I'm happy, at least from my own side, I'm able to help at least 100 trans women in that COVID-19 time. But I really wanted to reach more people, more those people which who don't have access to city and they are living in the remote areas. For that, I needed a fund. I even started a fundraising event, and I tried to raise fund, but nobody donated in that fund. And because I always thought even trans women, most of them are into sex work, because they don't have any options. And even if everyone was getting rationing kits, but people, due to the taboo of being a sex worker, nobody want to go near to them, nobody want to talk to them, but they were also dying. So I try to reach more of the sex workers in Patna, and I try to reach HIV positive kids who are suffering and who are not getting food. So I try to go beyond my limits, and I try to help them. But I really wish people should support so that we can support more people. And as you when you talk about the future, when you talk about where I see myself, I always dream of having a house for a home for a minor kids from for LGBT community, because most of the kids who turn into 13, when they realize their puberty, and then when they realize their sexual orientation, most of the family throw them out of their house, or maybe they themselves leave the house because uh, it was so toxic to live with their own family that they don't want to be with them. I wanted to have a home for those kids, so that they know that there is a home where they can go and they can have a place to stay and eat. And that's there where I want them to finish their studies and then skill them, and then they should you get independent. As both of my co-speakers have said, that if you are financially independent, things really change. Everyone should have a financial independency. So for that, we need to make them study and skill them. So that's my dream, and that's my I see myself having a home where I will help these minor kids to look for a better future, not to roam around on the street and get into a sex work or into begging, because they don't have choice when they are thrown out of their house. When you are 13, you don't know what to do. When you are on the road, all of a sudden you're on the road, and people make take advantage of you. They molest you, they rape you, they go through a very bad life when they are thrown out of their house. And that is how I want to see myself after a few years. I want to have a home, and I want to help these kids.
Wow, wow. I mean, like, that's a very amazing dream to keep in mind. And also, like, I believe when you're passionate enough for a cause, you overcome all the struggles, you overcome all the steps,
True.
and you finally make a difference. So I really wish the same for you. And I believe that you'll do this. Like, your words really inspire me. So I would like to turn to Shravya ma'am. So, ma'am, today women have broken many barriers and have come forward, but the situation for rural women still has a lot of room for empowerment. So what do you think are the main problems, and what are the opportunities we can create for their livelihood?
Um, See, like, rural women are, they have always been, backbone of sustainable livelihoods. I think we need to create more inclusive opportunities and we need to make use of technology. We need to make sure technology is accessible to them also. See, for instance, like Bharti was saying, NGOs have definitely done a lot of good work. There was an article where it says, like, especially in Telangana and Kerala, more than 95% meals were actually provided by the NGOs. And I really relate to her because working on ground has always been very, very challenging. You know, I have collaborated with four other NGOs, and together we were able to provide dry ration for more than 30,000 people. And we have served almost like 80,000 cooked meals for migrant workers and all. Also, during this time, at the same time, I even realized, okay, migrant workers and all, it's fine, but there are for few women at least we can create some opportunities. That is when actually we started a project called the Sustainable Mask Project, where we try to procure the material from the marginal weavers, especially, in Telangana, our traditional fabric is ikat, and from Andhra Pradesh, it's kalamkari. So what we did is like we really wanted to reach out to our weavers. At the same time, we wanted to give some opportunities for single women. So this is the mask which I'm actually showing you. So this is the mask which is actually procured from the marginal weavers of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and these are actually stitched by the single woman. So what happens is, like, in a country like India, farmers and weavers are treated with utmost respect, and they deserve it too, because we are not doing any charity to them. So what we thought, instead of giving dry ration kits to weavers, we thought that we will make them financially, they're not dependent on others. So when we procured the material, because what happened is, like, the production has actually stopped because of the lockdown. All the malls were shut down, and boutiques or whatever, so there were no customers, so that they can actually sell their material. So this is how we try to create opportunities. So the single woman happily sitting at home, they were able to earn, like, 500 to 1,000 rupees per day, so that they can buy their own groceries and all. And at the same time, I think we need to improve access to livelihood programs to community participation also. Because what happens is, like, especially in India, we have so many schemes, but hardly people are aware of it. Most of them are actually not aware of it. I think we need to make use of the Gram Panchayat office, or else, we'll have some old school buildings in the villages also. So like that, even if youngsters can go there, try to enlighten them, try to give them some dhyan about these schemes, and what are the opportunities which are available in the market also. Because usually I deal with most of the women from the rural areas, and these women, what we do is, like, once we are done with the training, also, I put some of them in domestic help, and some of them at the reception desk, because some girls are like, at least they're 10th pass or 12th pass. So what we do is that we just give them basic form skills training, as well as the basic English or computer skills training. So that when we feel they're well equipped with all these skills, then we put them in some job or something. And at the same time, we need to create certain job opportunities in the rural economy, because most of our country is agriculturally driven, and most of the workforce is not paid properly. I'll give you a small example, because I went on a lot of expeditions along with my grandfather. I've spent all my vacations with my grandfather. I've never ever gone to a tour in my life. I don't remember to going to a tour actually. What happens is, like, since I'm a 90s kid, during that time we used to get these pamphlets for different tours and all. So what I used to actually do is, like, I used to save all my pocket money and used to borrow some money from my parents, and I used to say, okay, fine, you're not going through this trip now. We'll donate it to some orphanage. So that's how my upbringing has been. So one day when I went along with my grandfather, just realized there was a huge gap between the pay scale. There was this, we have a Mosambie farm, and there were a few laborers who came to just pluck those oranges, and they have to put it into the truck so that we can send it to the market. And what happened was, like, man was paid some 450 rupees, and woman was paid somewhere around 300 to 350. I was thinking, why this discrimination? I mean, they're doing the same amount of work. So I immediately, I think I was in my fifth or sixth grade, if I remember. Then I immediately went to the local contractor and I told him, "See, we are going to pay the man $400 and as well as even the woman also 400. If you're willing to, then that's fine. Because this is really unfair. Because here, because I am someone who believes in equal pay and equal opportunities. When the amount of work is same, I think they definitely deserve to be paid on par with men also. And so, if we could create, and I think as a society, we need to play that good role, because most of the time, what happens, what I personally observed is like, most of the problems women face are actually created by women. To put it in simple words, if a daughter-in-law can treat
Yeah.
her mom as her, mother-in-law as a mother, and a mother-in-law can treat her daughter-in-law as a daughter, I think half of the problems are solved. Because sometimes I feel so sorry for the man. He's like struggling between his mother-in-law and as well as the wife. As a woman, it's high time we have to support each other, yeah, because always we have a very old saying in Telugu, but I'll put it in English. Woman has always been a woman's enemy. But we are in 21st century. We are in 21st century. Why can't we, we be very positive about life and try to spread some positive energy? For example, you're wearing a pretty outfit. I can just say, "Oh, Vanshika, you look so beautiful today." There's nothing wrong, yeah. These are simple little things which can make another woman
True.
happy. Because there is no unity among us, so that's the reason the third person is trying to exploit us or whatever it is. So the whole purpose to start we and she's also was that. Because generally what happens with these single women is like Reena ji also said, they look for crying shoulders, and that is there where they try to get exploited. So we just wanted to avoid all this, and we wanted to give them that opportunity where they can restart their life with
Yes.
some hope. Because I am someone, who always takes, even sometimes things don't work out in my way also. I always believe that, something good is coming my way, or else the best is yet to come. That's the reason I've been put in in this situation. So if we can look at life in a very positive way, I think, yeah, whatever change we wish to, we can definitely see in coming days. So yeah, it's high time. Like we women have to support each other,
Yes.
respect
True.
for
Very true.
or whatever it is. Even if we think that a woman has committed a mistake, let us offer her some help. But talking about her, I think this is not going to help. Because what I also personally feel is that whenever something happens with a celebrity or someone, be it films or political, that is when we actually start to discuss about the problem. These things are there from a really long time. So I think we shouldn't fail as an individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once that is something which is really, really important. I always believe that, if we are born as humans, I think there is definitely a strong purpose for our birth. So let's use it in a very proper and positive way, and spread some good energies among our circles, or yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's very rightly put, ma'am. That was an amazing message. So, as Reena ma'am also mentioned, that we have to become each other's strength to finally
True.
bring about a change. We have to, take little steps and bring about positive energy. So, that's very true, ma'am. So, I think we should now move towards wrapping up the session. It was really pleasure connecting to you all, and it was a really insightful and I should really say it was a really motivating session. Like, it personally, it gave me so much insight. So, like, moving towards the end, I would request you all to convey a final message for the society. So I would first request Jai Bharti ma'am to convey her final message.
Yeah, thank you very much. It has been a good show, actually. So many things, and it's really empowering when all women come together. And you have been great, Vanchita, because mostly what happens is we are busy doing what we believe in, and when we get onto a platform and discuss multiple things, it's very rare that the moderator actually knows deeply about each of the panelists. So, I think I should give you that credit. You've been incredible in touching the real important parts amongst the three of us. That was really good. And I would just like to pass on a message. Definitely, my one thing for the next decade is let's have more women in mobility wherever you see. I'll tell this to you, Reena, and to Shravya as well, that if you see that any women or anybody from LGBTQ needs some kind of an employment opportunity, please encourage them to do these delivery jobs.
Definitely.
That is
Definitely.
definitely possible in their own neighborhoods. They don't have to go anywhere. And these days
Yes.
we get the two-wheelers on rent, or there are so many other ways they do, and it's a very, very low capital intensive livelihood opportunity. That way it will also the whole aspect of this is it will create more safety for all of us women in the society.
Yes.
And one crucial message I would want to leave for everyone, especially after COVID, is in life each of us have some potentials within ourselves. It can be anything. I can do something really good. I might be terrible. Like I can take my bike and go ride for 10,000 kilometers, 50,000 kilometers, but I can't drive a car. So people get confused, like, how can you not? So that is not my potential. So, everybody has their own potentials. And we as humans should allow each other to grow in their own potentials. Do not, if you can, help someone. Otherwise, just stay calm, but don't ever try to bring down someone because like Shravya said, if they do not have that potential, just like you have, do not underestimate them. They might excel
Yes.
in something else. So always be there for each other, and let us bring in the best of each of us. So with that, I would say thank you so much for the co-panelists and Vanchita, and for Women for this incredible platform. It was really nice.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Like it was a really powerful message that we have to be there for each other. So now I'd like to give the mic to Shravya, ma'am. Ma'am, please give us the final message for the society.
Yeah, I seriously thoroughly enjoyed interacting with all the incredible women here. And just like Bharti said, you have been an exuberant host, Vanshita. I really appreciate your knowledge and your efforts, the way you were coordinating with us also. See, as humans, I believe that we all are born unique, and I think everybody are gifted with some or the other talent. So we need to realize our real potential and try to put a decent effort so that we don't compromise on our goals also. See, I because people say that be like this, be like that, but I always say the day when you don't compromise on your standards and ethic, you always have the right to hold your head high. And because there'll be many people in your way who try to put you down, or even the
Yes.
circumstances also will let you down. But it all depends on us, how strong we are, how positive we are. So I just tell everyone it's very loud and clear. You need to stay strong, stay positive, and more importantly, you need to stay very very hopeful towards life, because everybody say, great things take time to happen. So, be it COVID also, I think post COVID also, everything is going to be okay. This is the time where we shouldn't panic and try to be each other's help, because if you realize your friend is in need of because mental health issues. I personally, I mean, even though I've been telling people that I don't offer any psychological support for other women also, but they were victims of domestic violence. And to my surprise, there were people from parental homes also who have been harassed by their parents as well as siblings also. So I think, for example, any friend or relative of yours, if she's trying to reach out to you for some help, try to be there. Because after everything happens, putting down some status, I don't believe in that. I think when they actually need us, we are supposed to be there with us. So just stay very positive about life, and stay calm, because I also, again, this is going to be very filmy, but definitely there will be a time. It's more like, apna time aayega. So effort
Yes.
you put in, because I have personally definitely experienced when because initially when I gave up on my civils also, people said that, oh, now she's trying to be that social reformer, social worker or something. But when I get an applaud from someone else, or when I'm getting an award also, people are like, ah, I know this girl, she stays in my neighborhood every day, she comes to my place. I haven't I mean, I didn't even I don't remember interacting with them also. So that's how, because whatever you do, society is here to always judge. But I think we need to keep up our spirit super high. And I don't know if Bharti remember, but we did protest for a common cause, that's KBR Park. And Bharti has always been very, very vocal about women rights or environmental protection also, because I've also done a lot of work on the environmental front, and she's one inspiring woman. And I remember she shouting at one local reporter who was not trying to report the things properly. I mean, he was trying to hide some good things about the government. She was like, "You are here to report the truth, but don't try to mislead the people and all." So kudos to all the brave women out there and who are trying to fight in whatever capacity they can. And Reena ji, I appreciate you wholeheartedly, because even there was an award ceremony where where I shared an award with a transgender, and this award will always. I even told in my speech that this award is always going to be super special, because even their efforts are recognized, and I hope your dream will come too soon. And let
Thank
me know
you.
if I can be of any decent help, because I also self-funded my organization.
Definitely.
I sold my jewelry.
I think all social activists know that nobody helps. It's only you yourself have to help yourself to help others.
Because I also self-funded my organization, because when money comes, automatically pressure also comes, and I
Yes.
didn't wanted my
Yes.
purpose to get diluted, because
Yes.
today I have reached at a certain point where people can't dictate me, because I always wanted, and I think
Yes.
everybody, I just said your work should speak for you, not your surname, not your family
Yes.
background, nothing. Let your work speak for you, and let your success make the noise. That's it. And thank you so much, Womanovator and She the People, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. It was great interacting with you guys.
Wow, my, like, it was really a motivating one, and like I want to repeat those lines, like, everybody has the right to keep her or his head high. It's all in the mind. If you want to, you will, and let the work speak for you. Like, so it was really a motivating answer, ma'am. So I would now request Reena ma'am to say some few words, like.
First of all, I really want to thank you, and your smile, which is, making us talk more about what you were talking to us. Because when the host is clueless, the other person also feels like what to say and what not to say. But your enthusiastic smile keep us going on, and I really want to thank my co-panelists Jaya ji and Shravya ji, because I feel so blessed to be on the same platform where they both are speaking. I really wanted to tell Jaya ji that I really want to ride a bike. Since the childhood I want to ride a bike, but I don't know. I can ride a car, but don't know if we'll meet someday. I really want you to teach me how to ride a bike. And Shravya ji, whatever you doing for the women's, it's really commendable. And I really want to say to both of you, please include our trans women also in your journey, because as I always say, trans woman is also a woman. So we have to include them, and we have to work together to bring them to that status where people will look up to them and respect them. And I must share this with you that there is a girl who is a participant and a winner of Miss Trans Queen India, Namita Amu, from Tamil Nadu. She even came as a leading actress in a movie, and she acted as a leading actress, which is a very big thing. Even her new movies are coming as a she is acting as a woman. I always had a dream. I always keep asking everyone if when we see movie or any serials, there a woman is acting as a trans woman. So I always used to raise a question: why a trans woman can't act as a woman? So I think my dream is going to fulfill, and her movie is going to release soon in Tamil Nadu, and I would really like you guys to support her too and watch her. She is actually making us really proud, And thank you so much for this session. I think we, Shravya ji and Jaya ji, I think we should stay connected, and I'll ask Vanshita to connect me with both of you, and
Right.
we'll do plan something together, because when we have when you do alone, you may reach to some point of life, but when you do together with others also, I think you reach to the next level of your goal. So I really want to join hands with you guys also, and work for the empowerment of women.
Wow, that's very true, ma'am. I'd really like to connect the three of you. I'll go connect you for sure. And it was really a pleasure for me also, to come across such amazing women and to motivate me on a personal note. Thank you so much. I believe that when we are together, we are on the next level. So
True.
I once again take my opportunity to thank all of you on the behalf of Team Women Innovator for taking out your time for us and motivating us so much. Like, it was really a great session that women come together and discuss about things. So it was really a great time. I hope to stay connected with all of you in future too. It was really an inspiring one.
Thank you.
Same
Thank
here.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.